I'm on the phone with Jess Hartman. Is it Jess?
Yes, we want to be really friendly. It could be
Okay,
Jess.
why not? Jess Hartman of Laptop. Who else is in Laptop, Jess?
Laptop has always been mainly me, and more me. I sort of would joke around and say I'm sort of the Jewish Prince, because mostly I've made all the records myself. I have a studio in my living room, like a little computer setup where I do everything, which is kind of one of the reasons the band ended up being called Laptop, because I had some visitors from Norway who were here for me to show them a good time, and I was spending the whole time making music on the laptop when they were here, and so they kind of nicknamed me Laptop, so that's kind of where that started. But right now, Laptop Live is me and 5 lovely and dangerous ladies.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I kind of decided to do sort of an ironic twist or something on the Robert Palmer thing. So it's me fronting a band of 5 women.
Excellent. Let's go back to before you actually started recording. Who were you listening to growing up? What influences, apart from the ones they actually write on the CDs when they send them to the radio stations?
Right.
Can't really depend on those. But what influences? What were you listening to apart from Prince, obviously?
Well, I had one of those households with the kind of overbearing older brothers, and I kind of grew up in his record collection, which was, mostly New York stuff, from Richard Hell to Television to Velvet Underground. I kind of had a sort of a major education in New York City music, and but I grew up in the early 80s, and I, was sort of inundated with, what I considered at the time really bad music. But somehow all the Human League and New Order and, I don't know, it kind of seeped in, and it didn't sort of appear in my world, in my musical world, till I was, I don't know, in my mid to late 20s, and I started making music that people said sounded like stuff I didn't like growing up, but I kind of liked it when I was grown up. So I kind of came around to a certain sound sort of almost accidentally. People say Laptop kind of sounds like Depeche Mode and things like that, and it's really kind of always been funny for me because I don't own any of those records. And I don't think that anybody would believe me, but it's true.
Well, I would say that, I don't know about Depeche Mode. I guess in that synth pop variety. But
Right.
There's an element that's in all of your records that really caught my attention, which is why I started playing them, and that's humor. There's a very humorous element in your lyrics.
Yeah. The humor, I don't know if humor can come from any record or any influence. It's sort of like you're either that way or you're not, and there are certain artists that I grew up loving, like Jonathan Richman, who had a lot of humor in his lyrics, and Lou Reed to some degree had a lot of humor in his lyrics, but there aren't too many people who do that, and I guess that's been sort of the thing I've had to offer in a way.
Yeah, when I was listening to the first couple I think we got singles in here originally, I noticed that your persona, and I may be way off base here, okay, but I thought your persona on the records was sort of a cad.
Yeah, CAD, you said, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did early on with Laptop. This CAD persona kind of popped out of me, and I'm not going to say that I don't have any CAD qualities. I think we all do, but I found myself really liking writing from that perspective. It's funny.
Yeah.
And we all know that guy, and there's a song called "Give Me the Night" where I'm trying to pick up a girl in a bar, and kind of saying all the cliches as she's sort of throwing it back in my face. And it was such a fun song to do because I actually got to cast my most caddish friend in the role, and we taped him talking in a bar picking up a girl, and it's really like making a little movie about a cad. And it's kind of a fun persona to kind of take on.
Well, that sounds like a perfect cue, so why don't we cut to that track right now, and we'll hear the little sketch before the song. Here's Gimme the Night.
That's what happens when someone has a drink and someone else has a drink. Close enough.
End credits sort of like the opposite end of the CAD spectrum in a way.
Yeah, end credits, I gotta say end credits, unfortunately, was really based on an experience I was having at the time. I was dating a woman who was sort of the CAD, the female CAD, and she was so difficult and so mean to me, but she was kind of like a drug for me a little bit, and I couldn't stop dating her, and I finally came to this conclusion that and I was going to break up with her, and I was going to move on, and I was going to get my life back together, and I kept calling her to break up with her. I don't know why I felt like this urge that I had to have some closure. I couldn't just blow the whole thing off. I had to make the phone call and break up with her. And typically, she just wouldn't return my calls. She wouldn't answer the phone. Like she was so smart and savvy that she was thwarting me even in this final moment. And
she wasn't going to let you win.
No, I was not going to be the one to have any closure. So I figured the only way I could really get closure is to write a song about it and use her answering machine on it.
Is that really hers?
It's not really hers.
Yeah, okay.
but I like to say it is.
Yeah.
See, that's the beauty of it. I wouldn't have the guts to actually put her on my song because I'd be afraid she'd sue me or something.
Right. See, now I always have the opposite problem. Usually I have that experience where I say, that's it. I'm going to break up with this girl. It's not working out. And then they call, and then I just forget everything that I just thought of and continue on.
Yeah, look, if she had called me, she had actually answered the phone, I probably would have caved in.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about that song is that it was a little bit of a hit in England, and maybe the sensibility of it, appeals to the English somehow. But I got a call from a lawyer right after it came out who was representing a woman named Vanessa.
Oh, no.
And the girl in the song is named Vanessa.
Yeah.
And this lawyer claimed that I had stolen his Vanessa's answering machine. And they wanted me to take the song off the market, and it was a whole funny thing when there really was no Vanessa. I made that up. And
right.
So some woman out there wanted to believe that was her somehow. She must be a real treat.
Yeah, exactly. How can I make money today? That must be going through her mind.
Yeah.
The new record, Let Yourself Go. That's a track off it. The new record's called Don't Try This at Home. And not only is it a record, but I understand it's also a film in the making.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I went to film school, and I've always been making films while I've been making music, and in some ways Laptop was like this way to do both, because it's always been hard to do both at the same time. They just both kind of demand a lot of time, and the Laptop was this sort of cinematic music that I could make that had bits of dialogue and scenes in it, and but finally I just kind of came up with the right idea, which was to make an album and a screenplay that had the same title and told a similar story. I kind of always thought that I would that making movies was a little more of a dignified older person's thing to do, and eventually that I was going to want to make that transition from music to film. But I feel almost like a baseball player. Like, it's kind of hard to let go of this 12-year-old fantasy that you had.
Right.
So now, there's this album called Don't Try This at Home, which just came out in May on Gammon Records, and I have a screenplay by the same title, which we're in pre-production for. And basically, this kid from the suburbs is obsessed and imitates this older new wave character, this older guy that was a star back in the early 80s. And so the older guy's music from the early 80s is all laptop stuff.
Oh, I see.
So, and because this kid's a musician and he's imitating this kind of fallen hero, his music is laptop stuff also. So certain laptop songs belong to the kid and certain laptop songs belong to the older guy. So there's a lot of laptop music in it.
Well, I was going to say, a few months ago, didn't you have a screenplay reading?
Yeah, we did a kind of record release party / screenplay reading in one night at Joe's Pub in New York. And
how did that go?
It was a great night. The stress of the whole thing probably took like a year or two off my life. But, I joked at the beginning of it that it was like a second bar mitzvah because it was such a me kind of night.
Right.
But no, it went really well, and we had a really good cast that read the screenplay. A woman named Cara Seymour read the female lead, who was an adaptation, and American Psycho, and a number of other people that you'd sort of recognize, and it was fun.
Now, anything in particular? I want to play a cut off the record. Is there anything you want to hear apart from tracks number 2, 3, 9, and 12?
I'd probably Let Yourself Go.
Okay. We've played this before on the show. This is a perennial. It's turning out to be.
In some ways, that's sort of a sequel to End Credits and Back Together.
Yeah.
They're kind of they're like of a trilogy or something.
Baby, can we talk?
What is the web address?
The laptop website address is laptopic.com, laptopic.com, and there's music to listen to, and there are videos to watch, and lots of other web stuff.